Hello, everyone. I'm Krooked, and I do stuff, and this is Unscripted, the series where I take a completely unscripted look at games and give it a 1 through 10 rating. Today, we are playing Resident Evil 0. When this came out on the GameCube, this was a huge deal. Massive. I remember this being, like, as big as Resident Evil 4, which also came out on the GameCube and PlayStation. Like I talked about in my Eternal Darkness video, this was a big deal for Nintendo because it had M-rated games, and these were known for being on PlayStation, so it was kind of a huge deal. I believe this is also the first one that didn't really have tank controls. I might be wrong, though. It's been, well, forever since I've played a Resident Evil on the GameCube. It's still tank controls. But, I mean, hey. So, Y goes into the menu, which is weird. I'm gonna see if there's... Yes. Yeah. Perfect. GameCube has it going for him. Like, I can actually change settings on the GameCube to see things. That's fantastic. That's a huge leg up from everything on the PlayStation 2 that doesn't offer that. That being said, you know, this is another Resident Evil game. It looks absolutely spectacular. The downside is this is a Resident Evil game, so you know what that means. Tank controls, which, at this point in the game, and by the game I mean, like, in making video games, tank controls had no point. They had no place, they had no purpose, and the fact that they have this with tank controls, that's an automatic, like, letdown. I know that I talked before how on the PlayStation the tank controls are kind of a thing, but when your game looks this good, it's just a letdown that you have these controls that hold it back so much. And I understand that was the style of the time, but when we get to this era, we've gotten away from these controls at that point. Even the modern Resident Evil 4 remake doesn't have tank controls. None of the Resident Evil remakes have tank controls. And they're better games overall because of it. And I would honestly argue that they're probably the best of the best when it comes to Resident Evil. I'm going to be taking a look at some of the other ones. Depending on when you watch this, they're either coming out soon or they're going to have already been on my channel for quite some time. But that being said, it is tank controls. And I feel that this hurts it more on this than it would on, like, the PlayStation, because I can control it with an analog stick, and the analog stick works much better not tank controls. If it was just the D-pad, which I can also use, by the way, then it might be a little bit different. But, you know, at this point, I think that it hurts the game, whereas with the original Resident Evils, it wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. This is just a lot harder to control. A allows you to search things, B is run, X does nothing that I can find out. Z opens the map. And R aims. A fires when you're aiming. Pretty basic controls. Graphically, this game looks spectacular. This looks better than Eternal Darkness did, honestly, in a lot of ways. I'm super impressed. The zombies look good. Rebecca looks good. Get off of me. Okay. I thought I killed all these. No! God, the tank controls make it hard. Especially, again, with the analog stick. So, it looks fantastic. The train looks great. It looks dark, dilapidated, not pretty. Sound-wise, like I said on my other videos, sound in these games are all pretty much perfected at this point. It has the creepy aura. The zombies sound really, really solid. The voice acting in this is incredibly solid. Opening and closing doors sounds like opening and closing doors. They really knocked it out of the park with this in so many different ways. And then it ends up being held back so much just by the controls. Which, it's so sad because I don't think it needs to be held back. But it is. And it makes me want to give it a lower rating than what this game really should get. And it's not because it's necessarily a bad game. It's just time has moved on, and having the analog stick be the main controller, just have these same controls, it hurts it a lot. This is a game that I feel could use some serious remake love because it is creepy. It has a great cast of characters. It's so good.
Billy.
But it's, again, kind of a forgotten Resident Evil. We're already fighting dogs? Oh man, this is basically, hey, you played Resident Evil before, right? Yeah? Well, here, play this. And, like, look at the aiming. I'm aiming in the middle of the screen and hitting dogs with it. They could have done better at this point, but they were too stuck in the old style. We wouldn't really see the tank controls drop until Resident Evil 5. But honestly, if you're looking for a good scary game and you do like the tank controls, like say you played Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3, and even Resident Evil 4, and you wanted more, this would be another great entry into it, especially because of how gorgeous this game is and how much it does hit that creepy setting. But you're still going to be held back a little bit by those controls. So with that all being said, I think I've harped on it enough. I'm going to give it a 7 out of 10. It does get a slightly lower rating than the other games. It should be about the same, but yeah, you've heard me talk about why it's not. That being said, it is a gorgeous game. Sound is gorgeous. You're not going to have a bad time playing it. It's just going to take a lot to get used to it. Comment down below. Let me know what your favorite Resident Evil game is. Or rather, your favorite non-main entry line Resident Evil game. Like this video if you enjoyed what you saw. Hit that subscribe button. That way you never miss out on an episode of Unscripted. And hit that notification bell so that way you'll be notified whenever a new episode comes out. And with all that being said, I do want to thank you for watching Unscripted. And I will see you on the next video. Bye!